So what is a soul tie? On a very basic, simple understanding, it is an emotional connection, and it is an attachment between two people, and the interaction tends to be prolonged. And so the attachment, the word that you see there, attachment, is much more related to the psychology understanding of attachment. Your attachment can be insecure or secure. When you have a secure attachment, you tend to feel like you can depend on the person who is acting as a caregiver. Here it is. You are an infant, and the infant is crying, and the caregiver or parent responds to the infant, right? And so there is a reliability on the caregiver. However, when you come from an insecure attachment, it can be ambivalent or avoidant. When you are a baby and you cry, your parent or caregiver did not respond to you immediately. The caregiver responded to you on his or her own time. So then you learned, you were taught uh, the differences between conveniences, whether or not you were responded to quickly, or whether or not you were responded to in their own time, which breeds inconsistency. So then, as a baby, you grow up into toddlerhood, and the parent is still not responding to you. Every time you cry, every time you have an issue, you can't depend on that parent to provide you emotional um, comfort or emotional response. And if they do, it's yelling, it's screaming. It could lead to spanking. It could lead to a number of things. And so then that speaks to the parenting style, which you have four major types I always go over in all my presentations: authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, and uninvolved. And when you have an authoritative parent, that parent creates teachable moments, so that if you have an issue and you are not doing something, or you're going down the wrong path, the parent will sit you down and have a conversation with you concerning that particular issue, and create a teachable moment so that you can take it wherever you are going, whether it's to the schoolhouse or later to the high school, and then further later to your own life, and in the workforce. Authoritarian parents tend to be the types of parents that we usually are used to, the ones who say, do it because I said so. They don't give you an explanation. They don't help you understand the reason why you really need to do it. They just say, do it because I say so. Well, a lot of times they've been breeded the same way. Their parents responded to them in the same kind of way. And so now they are passing it down to you. And now it actually becomes a burden on you, because then you are walking around blind, because you still don't know why you are doing it, just because the person says so. And so authoritarian parents tend to be harsh. They tend to manipulate and control the child. They tend to be aggressive, right, depending upon the family context. The situations, the family dynamic can be definitely toxic. And you can find multiple types of children within either parenting style, like the scapegoat, the invisible child, the golden child, right? And you can find it in great parent homes, two parent homes, and you can find it in single parent homes, good and great, great or not so great, right? And so what it is that you are taught and passed down with certain core values that you then adopt, um, without any really intervention, and then you begin to apply it in your life in other areas, because that's what you know. A lot of times we attract the wrong types of people because it's what we are used to, what we have been accustomed to, what we have been exposed to. If you haven't been exposed to a person with some sense, and all the people that you have been exposed to, including your family dynamic, or people without sense, without common sense about things, then you're going to carry out your life without self-reflection. You're going to carry out your life in the very same way, until you realize, okay, I can't do this anymore. I don't like this. This is stupid. It's time to change. And so then the permissive parent is always the parent who just allows and permits whatever you want to do with your life, without really any guardrails. without any direction. And then of course the uninvolved parent is just not involved at all. Is the word itself speaks for itself, that the parent kind of lets the child be an adult at 12 years old, and the child is driving and carrying on life like it is an adult, and then the child makes the types of decisions that are criminal based decisions, and the child is confused because you have an authority figure permitting him or her to be able to do whatever he wants to do. But then you have the authority in the law and the police who's telling the child that you can't do that. You can't do whatever you want to do, right? You are not grown. You are not an adult. And so then these different soul ties are formed because then there's a soul tie with the child and the parent uh, who is permissive or uninvolved, and that child learns how to deal with that parent from that perspective. Then you have the child with the parent who is authoritarian and is always manipulating and controlling the child psychologically. And then you have a parent who actually responds and creates teachable moments, and the child can actually depend upon the parent for help and guidance and direction. And so all these kids of authoritarian, permissive, and uninvolved parents are roaming the city, and eventually they're all going to collide. And so sometimes they collide and they create even more soul ties. And so then you have soul ties with education professionals and friendships and the jail and the store person. If you have a summer job, if you have a job in high school, you got all these different types of soul ties that are forming. And sometimes it is clear that one is good, and sometimes it's clear that one is not good. Regardless, they're all emotional connections. They're all some form of attachment, whether insecure or secure, and they tend to be prolonged interaction. If you have somebody who joined a game and they have stayed in that game for so many years, okay, that's a prolonged interaction. It's a soul tie, and that's all you know. That's all you have been reared in. That's been your education. If you have a person who has been homeless for 25 years or more, then go back to the family dynamic. Did did the parents move a lot, or did the parents kick the child out a lot, or did the parents have to go? Did the child have to go live with his grandparents? Right. It's a number of things. So then that's a soul tie to homelessness, soul tie to gang activity, soul tie to a toxic family dynamic. And so these are the people that you're going to see and encounter and realize that they all have soul ties in different ways. So just keep this in mind as you go through the presentation. All right, so now that you've gotten to the end, this is you can visit, subscribe, and follow. My website is reginayfavors.com. Then you can visit my YouTube channel, youtube.com// at Regina Y Favors. And then I have an author store, reginayfavorsauthor.com. I also have other types of websites as well. So thank you very much for listening.